Happy first day of fall from the Art Cart Mobile Art Studio. I don't know about you, but when I think of fall, I start to think of pumpkins. And today we're going to talk about an artist who was is obsessed, she's still alive, with pumpkins. I'm going to show you two ways to make some of Yayoi Kusama's pumpkins. So here are some supplies that you might need. The first project we're going to do with colored paper. I grabbed 3 fall colors, red, yellow, and orange, and a black background. And you can do this with a black Sharpie pen. Has to be Sharpie or permanent pen, not a like a Crayola marker, because they're water-based, and if you paint over them, that won't work. It'll just make a big black mess. But if you have a Sharpie marker, you can use that. A black crayon or a black oil pastel, whichever one you feel like using, whatever you have handy. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start with this one. And then I'm going to show you, if you don't have colored construction paper, how you can draw it out on white paper and then paint it with our watercolor paints. All right, so I'm going to start with my 3 colors. These are half sheets of construction paper, and I'm going to draw some pumpkins. And I'm going to start with a nice fat pumpkin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with doing a curved line on the left and a curved line on the right. Then I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm going to get a little bigger. Curved on the left, curved on the right, and bigger. Curved on the left, curved on the right. And you can get bigger and bigger and bigger, as big as you want to. I think I'm going to stop here. I'm going to draw a stem for my red pumpkin. And then I'm going to set that one aside so I can draw my next one. For my yellow one, I think I'm going to hold it up so that it is portrait or vertical. My first one, I did horizontal, so that I have a tall, skinny pumpkin. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw those first 2 rounded lines facing each other, and then I'm going to go out and back in, out and back in, out and back in, out and back in. Now, do pumpkins have to be perfectly round? Absolutely not. If you've been pumpkin picking lately, you know that they never grow perfectly round. So don't worry if your lines are perfectly curved or if they're kind of bumpy or whatever. Does not matter at all. All right. So I'm going to choose one more, and you can make as many pumpkins as you wish. But let's see. I think I'm going to make another horizontal pumpkin. There we go. Awesome. Now, the thing about Yayoi Kusama is she loved painting with dots. She puts dots on everything, on flowers, on pumpkins, on clothes. So we're going to just make some dots on our pumpkins. Now remember, you can do this with the oil pastel, you can do this with a crayon. Some of my dots I put on the edge so it looks like they that my pumpkin is round. It gives it more dimension. You don't have to, but you might want to. Sometimes I'm not even going to color in my pumpkins. They're just going to be, my dots. They're just going to be circles. Sometimes I'm going to do really small circles or dots. And you can just make whatever kind of pattern you want to all over your pumpkin. You can even make dots on your stem. And this time, I'm going to color the negative space around my pumpkin. The negative space is the space around my object. My object in this case is the circles. All right. And I'm going to do the same thing on all 3 of my pumpkins. So I'm going to do an orange pumpkin, and then I'm going to do my yellow pumpkin, and I'm going to do my red pumpkin. All right. Then you're going to grab your scissors and cut your pumpkins out. Now, whenever I cut something out and I have big paper left over, I keep this and I put it in my scrap box. So if you haven't started a scrap box for your art, today is a perfect day to start. You can put all your papers in a shoebox. You could put them in a large gallon-sized Ziploc baggie. Whatever you've got to hold your scraps. Ta-da! There's one. Let's do some more dots. Let's see. Really big dots. This one. What do you think? Pretty wild, huh? I am going to add some pictures to my post of some of Yayoi Kusama's pumpkins, and you'll see that not all of her pumpkins that she made are orange, and that's why it's okay that we're doing other fall colors, besides the fact that we're making it our own artwork. We're just using her idea as something to start with. But she made all kinds of different color pumpkins. Now, if you're going to do lots of negative space like I'm doing, I would probably suggest using a crayon or an oil pastel, because my marker is actually doing pretty good, but eventually it would run out of ink if I did a lot of this coloring. I'm lucky mine's a brand new marker. Now, coloring on the colored construction paper, you probably could use a Crayola marker. That wouldn't be a problem because we're not going to put watercolor on these. But your second project with the watercolor paper, that one definitely you have to use a Sharpie if you're going to put watercolor over the top of it. So any of those markers that kind of look like the Crayola ones, even if they're Crazy Art or whatever brand, especially if they say that they're waterproof, or not waterproof, I'm sorry, washable markers, that means they already have a lot of water in them. And they will just, when you put the paintbrush with the water, they will just take that black and put black all over your beautiful drawing of your pumpkin. I love fall. It's my favorite season. And I like to celebrate everything I love by doing some art. I love art. I also love to read stories. And I have a wonderful story about our artist. And I will share that link on my post as well. All right. So now I'm going to cut out this pumpkin. Again, I could keep these big scraps for my scrap drawer. And you see how I cut that big piece off? It's much easier to cut when you don't have a big piece of paper hanging off. So feel free when you're cutting to cut off any big pieces like that. And then just keep going. Also notice, if you're new to cutting, that I turn my paper, but I keep my scissors straight. It's much easier to cut when you turn your paper than when you try to move your hands upside down. Now see, this piece is really skinny. It's not a very good piece for my scrap box, so I'm gonna throw that one away. All righty. So I'm gonna glue these two on. I haven't done my red one yet, but you get the idea. So I'm gonna put my glue, just using a regular glue stick. And I'm gonna glue my pumpkin background. Then I'm going to glue this one, and I'm going to overlap my pumpkins. Isn't that nice? I love that. So later on, I'll finish my red and I'll post a picture of it all done. So before I go, I want to show you how you can do this. If you don't have colored paper, you can still do this at home. If you have watercolors, or this one you could even color in with your crayons or your markers or whatever you have. So I'm going to start with an oil pastel, but again, you can do this with either a Sharpie marker or a black crayon. And I'm just going to do the same thing. This time I'm going to make one big pumpkin. Same thing. So we make our pumpkin. Ha! I'll make it even bigger. I'm going to go all the way to the edge. One big, giant pumpkin. Awesome. I'm going to give it a stem. Then I'm going to do my dots. Same thing. So we could have medium-sized dots. We can have teeny tiny dots. Now, if you're using oil pastel and even the markers sometimes, crayons not so much, the oil pastels do get on your hand. So try not to rub your hand against the black oil pastel on your paper. But it washes off really easy, just soap and water. So if you get it on you, you won't die. All right, let's see. Now I'm gonna make giant one. What do you think? I love it, giant dots. So our artist, Yayoi Kusama, was born in Japan, and she came to the United States to study and to meet other artists and really create her craft. And she has since gone back to Japan, and she lives back in Japan again. But she does art. She has her art shown all over the world. And sometimes it even comes here to the United States. I'm in the United States, in the state of Virginia, near Washington, D.C. And I know she's had her work come here. And she is about 91 years old now. She has lived a long life, and she has painted and sculpted and created a lot of art in her 90-something years. Let's see. You could do just polka dots all over your whole pumpkin. They don't have to be in a special pattern, but when she does hers, she does patterns with her dots. So that's why I am doing patterns with my dots. Do you hear my kitties in the background? They like to do art with me. Sometimes they sit on my lap while I'm painting or drawing. Do you have animals at your house? They do art with you? All right. So now I'm going to use my watercolors. If you don't have watercolors, don't worry about it. You can finish coloring in with your crayons, your markers, your oil pastels. I'm going to use my watercolors. And this time I am going to paint my pumpkin green. It's like I said, she has so many different pumpkins. Now she does seem to paint them all in solid colors. I don't think I've ever seen any that were rainbow, but this is your artwork, so you can do it any way you want. She also always seems to do black dots, but this is your art, so you can do it any way you want to. Now, with working with watercolor, the more water that's on your brush and mixed with your paint, the lighter your paint color is going to be. The less water, the darker it's going to be. So you don't have to dip it in the water each time if you want your color to come out nice and dark. But I can tell here my brush is pretty dry. So I definitely need to dip it in the water and grab some more paint. See how that works? Ooh, missed a spot over there. And you see how with the oil pastel or the crayon, I can paint right over the top with my watercolors, and the color, the black crayon or pastel, cannot absorb the water, the paint. It, I'm going to say it reflects it. That's not really the right word. Do the stem. You go right over the top. Now, as long as you're using your Sharpie marker, you should also be able to go right over the top of your Sharpie. That shouldn't be a problem either. As long as your pumpkin that you're painting is a light enough color, the black marker should show right through. All right. Now, when I'm done painting this, I can either cut it out or I can paint the background a different color and really make my work pop. About orange. So instead of having an orange pumpkin in the green grass, I might have a green pumpkin in the orange grass. What do you think, guys? Is this a good way to celebrate the first day of fall? Or any day of fall? Or any day of the year? Maybe you don't get to do this project until December. Does that matter? No. I don't think that Yayoi Kusama only painted her pumpkins when it was fall. I think she painted pumpkins all year round. And if you enjoyed painting pumpkins, try some other shapes. She made flowers, lots of flowers. You can paint flowers. Maybe you want to just do, I don't know, Christmas ornaments or Easter eggs. Ta-da! Now I have to let that one dry. But let's stick this one here too so you can see all of the art we did today. And again, happy first day of fall from the Art Cart Mobile Art Studio. Please click like if you liked this video.